Hey, welcome back to The Gifted and Insane. Today, Jabri and I will be talking to you about the challenges of the sandwich generation. That's right, the challenges of the sandwich generation. You want to know what we're talking about? Stick around and listen. Thanks. All right, everybody, let's get into this next episode. Welcome back to The Gifted and Insane, featuring me, Marzette, and my co host, my partner in crime, my man. What's your name?
This is Jabri Berry.
There he is. Right. How you doing, brother?
I'm good and getting better. Pretty fantastic, I must say.
Oh, okay. All right. You were sick again, or?
No, no, I just in general, like things are kind of going good. You gotta enjoy the upside of the roller coaster when it's up, because the down is down. So I'm gonna acknowledge that I'm feeling pretty good right now about life. Life is good.
Good, man. And we don't hear enough of that. I think that a lot of people, including myself, we're too easily like tipped the other direction, and we're ready, willing, and able to start talking about when it hits the fan and spreads everywhere. And a lot of times it's like people don't want to hear that. And secondly, it's like you just acknowledging it and falling back into it and like you're wallowing in it. And
Right.
sometimes, we do get pissed and we can, have to acknowledge that too. I'm not saying we can't blow off steam, but I'm basically getting long winded about saying that I'd like for us to celebrate the good stuff a little bit more. So cool. Thanks for sharing that, man. On another note, I remember the last episode that we kind of finished up really fast, and it was secondary to like a family emergency. Pretty much, Papa Barry had to be taken off to the hospital, and I was just wondering how he's doing. If you're okay with sharing that with us.
Oh well, he's out of the hospital. Got out of the hospital yesterday. He did what he needed to do to get his system, the proper nutrients back in his system. He let himself get a little bit too far gone, so they had to put him on some IVs, and it actually got to the point where they're about to get him feeding tubes and all this. At the end of the day, my pops was about to die from I think it's called stubborn black man syndrome. Stubborn, stubborn
Class,
old black man syndrome.
we can classify that as a disease process. Man, I mean, if we allow it to, we can push that to the next generation, and that type of stuff is what I'm trying not to. I'm trying not to push forward because that, I'll be all right, but you're not all right, and that leave me alone. I can take care of myself, but then you're really not taking care of yourself. You're just destroying yourself pretty much, and your family don't want to see that. And that kind of helps me segue into what we're actually going to be talking about on this episode is talking about the challenges of the sandwich generation. The challenges of the sandwich generation, and a lot of people are in that now, and many of them don't really know what it actually is, but they're living it. So I have something I've pulled up here, and it's actually describing what the sandwich generation is. And this is from Investopedia.com. Investopedia.com states that the sandwich generation refers to middle aged adults, often in their 40s and 50s, who are caring for both elderly parents and their own children. Now, I happen to know that there are millennials in that as well. There's not only just, middle aged folks in their 40s and 50s, there's people that are millennials. And according to another source that I had checked, the millennials, some of them have older parents. Like some of the parents waited to their late 30s, early 40s to have children. And then they're like a little older sooner, if that makes sense, if I'm making any sense at all. So they have to deal with that. So basically, with this, what it means is that the meat of the sandwich has to take care of the two bread, the both pieces of bread on opposite ends. The bread that represents their parents, and the bread that represents their children. And some people have younger children. Some people have older children that they still take care of. Some people have some children that have challenges. They may have a certain kind of disease process or some sort of medical problem that's chronic that the parents need to help manage while they're helping their ailing parents. So we feel it. And I know you feel it. And you were telling me something about how when things were discovered this way with your pops and and he was ailing but yet fighting, and he kind of made it difficult, for others, and people turned to you for guidance, help, advice, and as a newly appointed authority figure. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, well, it's kind of it's kind of something that just it's just a gradual thing that's been kind of happening like within I think like once he had a stroke
Huh.
the first time about 5 years ago. My parents have both been having some health problems. I mean, it's just in general, just seeing your parents age is just something that we're all going to have to deal with. But it goes back to me to, my main wheelhouse and is self-care. Because even though we're talking about other people, our parents, it still goes back to you. And it actually, for me, reinforced the fact that I need to make sure that I'm on top of my routine, my regimen, and taking care of a lot of things that I probably would have let slide. Less time to party, less time to. It just puts a whole new level of responsibility on you when you actually start to become that person that your parents are looking to, on top of already having two younger daughters.
Right. Because even when you have, because a lot of the resources I looked up or the websites, they would state, oh, well, the challenge of aging parents and you got like younger children or toddlers or something like that. Sometimes, like people with older kids, as I stated before, they're still taking care of their kids because that arbitrary number 18, like 18 and get out, that's kind of changed because these younger kids or older kids, I should say, because we're at the age we call it 18, 20, 24. All those they're still young to us, and they still need some guidance. Just because they
Right.
hit that magic number 18 or the magic number 21, that don't mean that you just kick them out and just don't give them anything or don't lend yourself to them. They're still your children. They're still your
Right.
children, you know? But at the same time, being the meat in the sandwich, it causes like certain stressors because you're catching it from both ends. You're catching it from
Exactly.
both ends. It's like, boy, what you doing over there? Oh man, what you doing over there? Like the same breath, you like trying to keep track of them. But some parents, some of them are capable. Other ones are stubborn, like we said before. But when when you realize that you're in that sandwich, you're the meat of that sandwich, you start to change your worry. You start to change your concerns, or they start to grow, I should say, because you don't want nothing to happen to your parents and you wondering like, why is this person doing some of this stuff that they used to like rail on me for when I was a kid, and now they want to get old and do this stuff. So now you have this role reversal, which is what we're going to move into next, is role reversal. And some people don't accept it. Like me, I part of me didn't want to accept that. Part of me wasn't ready. I don't know about you. How did you deal with that role reversal? Because I know to kind of nudge Papa Barry to where we wanted him to go, they called you, or Mom called you, and you
Yeah.
had to. Sorry, sorry. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying that you can go ahead and just let me know how that felt, or did you kind of expect something like that?
Well, I'll be honest with you. This topic right now is actually kind of tough for me because I don't want to get too personal about the situation and the things, the way things transpired.
Of
But
course,
honestly,
of
there's
course.
really no way for me to talk about it without kind of getting a little bit into some details and some personal stuff, and maybe it can help someone else who's going through something similar. And I'm pretty sure my father wouldn't mind me
Well,
telling this because we try to keep things as general as possible because I mean I want to do this as a general to help everybody if it's possible,
right.
and just using my personal example as something that can be uh applied to everybody because we all go through these things. We're all gonna, if you're not gonna go through it, you're if you haven't gone through it yet, you'll be going through it one day if you live long enough. you know.
Right.
So with that being said, it's literally, it comes down to a generational thing. Like our parents, they don't care, or they didn't understand, the importance of self-care a lot of times. When you're working, when you got 6 kids, when you're working 2, 3 jobs, and you're coming from, different situations, you don't have the time to actually check yourself out. The last thing you're going to be able to do is try to, mental health is like, huh, are you serious? That's the furthest thing
Right.
from their minds. Physical health literally is not even on their minds. It's like, I just got to go make this money and do what I got to do.
Right.
So coming from that generation, this is the kind of uh, guy, stubborn black man syndrome that I'm dealing with here. You know,
Yeah.
I'll be all right
Yeah.
all the way until the point where I know you're gonna be all right because you're about to be with Jesus. You know what I'm saying?
I'll be with the Lord.
Like
You gonna
how
see the
much of
Lord. The
you know,
LAWD, that's the Lord. You gonna see
yeah,
the Lord.
how much of all right can you accept? And that goes back to what we were talking about on the last episode. And that's why I love this platform, because it's a circle. Everything is everything. Everything applies. And we
Right.
can apply the same, ideas to life. Yeah, so basically he just had some health issues, lost his sight. Once he lost his sight, he lost his will to fight, really.
Yeah.
So
Well,
he
in
he
in in his defense with those old cats, man, we have to like it's kind of no way people from the modern era probably could have lived through some of the stuff that they had to see, because
right,
these cats coming out of like movements and real movements back in the day, not the some made up cupcake stuff. This was like real movements where they were in real danger, and it was stuff that was tangible that you could feel that it was like crazy out there. I'm not putting anybody else down, but I mean, like the 60s going into the 70s was ill as hell, you know? And
right,
so, and that's still from that era where anything beyond like holding your chin up in the air and being and you're having your chest stuck out was soft. And anybody and that arbitrary number of 18, hell, them cats had to be doing stuff at like 16 and 15 and stuff like that, trying to do
right,
man stuff at those ages that we wouldn't think about that. We didn't think about that stuff. We were riding bikes.
right,
We were going to the mall. We were doing all kinds of stuff and hanging out with friends and just chilling. And they had real world challenges at well, we did have that different challenges at those at our age 15, like with the gang wars and stuff like that that was going on, and even if you weren't a gangbanger, you get caught up in that stuff. So that's kind of what kind of guided us to where we are now. But they had some like systemic kind of stuff going on where things were in place where they were part of the generation that needed to change it, and being concrete all the way around was the only thing they knew. But at the same time, it worked for them in that day. It worked for them. They used to get jobs with handshakes back then. You remember that? How, hey, you don't go down to the grocery store and get a job. They just go down there and talk to the manager, and then they just got an apron, dude. They remember those cats used to wear aprons and they used to bag groceries. They had aprons and uniforms. They went down there and
yep,
got, it was a handshake kind of society. Went down, they got a job early on, and they had to provide early on. And so we were talking about role reversal earlier. It's hard for the meat to transition to try to parent parents, but it's hard for the parents to accept that their children
right,
kind of are in an authoritative kind of position, in a kind of parental position of them. I mean, I
hmm,
was able to experience that a little bit before my dad passed away. And again, like I touched on earlier, talking about how, they're doing stuff that they would have got on us for if they would have caught us doing that. And so I was able to experience my dad a little bit into adulthood, and I was able to kind of turn the tables on him, not because I was trying to lord over him some sort of power that I thought I had. I cared about him, and that's how it manifested, if that makes sense. because he's
Yeah.
outside and it's colder outside, and he on concrete sitting there in a chair with no shoes on and no shirt, just with a wife beater on, a shirt. I told him to go in the house. He told me to stop effing with him, and I told him to go in the house again. He was complaining on his way into the house. So
Right.
he listened, but he didn't want to, but he listened. So it's a challenge that the sandwich generation has to face, dealing with that, dealing with the acceptance of, like, dang, my boy is like getting on me now
Hmm.
for doing that. And I mean, we're facing that already with our kids. It's like, hey, Pop, you need to do A, B, and C. We're like, and then if I'm not gonna, if I'm the person who I'm really trying to be, trying to get all about like self-care, growth, and all this other stuff, you know, I have to sit there with my mouth open like, this dude, did this dude just tell me this? He ain't wrong, but he just told me this. So I was like,
Right.
okay. I bought into it. So, and forgive me, I know that kind of dug deep into you, because it's like, you it's your family, it's your pops, and that hits home, and it hits home hard. And I'm pretty sure that it's some people that know that, and they know about taking the baton. And what I mean by taking the baton is like in a relay race, the person that's running the race with the baton, they have it. They have the race. If you know what
Right.
track and field, they have the race. Then it's time for you to take the baton. If you don't take it and they try to pass it off, what happens? You ever see when people drop the baton? It's all like messed up. They like trying to pick it up, both of them, and they start running. I mean, that kind of happens with family members too.
Right. And I want to. There was something that you meant that you said, and it was a private conversation that was really profound. But I want to put it on the record here because I think it applies. When you said that there comes a time when you have to give your parents something that they may not have gotten, something that you've had to, they've actually, and I've seen this with my daughters as well. We've brought that baton to the next leg of the race, and it's beautiful to see them doing better and having more
Mm-hmm.
self-awareness and understanding of certain things that even we didn't. So just like we looking at our parents and like cavemen, like
uh, oh man.
I got I got to find our kids. Our kids are looking at us like that to a certain degree, and because and their technology and the thing, the way that they're the world is moving so fast now, like they're even more advanced, even faster than we were.
Yes.
So you can imagine like their brains are moving like AI, they're like cyborgs. you know so
Uh,
so
oh man. And we up
back
here
to
thinking
what you
we
had, what you
fast, and they looking at us like we just slow as molasses and stuff. It's like watching paint dry, seeing us get stuff done, and we thinking we moving over here. Oh man. Shout out to my goddaughters out there. Shout out to y'all, man.
Yes, sir, and shout out to your boys, no doubt.
All right. Yeah, man, thanks. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. What I wanted to touch on too, we're talking about passing the baton. For some, including yours truly, that's scary. And we're at the points in our lives where we're used to taking on like certain responsibilities and stuff like that. But that's a different realm. That's something different, because to me, when you operate and you have your parents, it almost feels like this I can't really describe it any better than like a cloak over you. Like they're there and they're still like you feel them there, and you feel that warmth of them, that warmth of their love, if you have that type of relationship with them. And it's scary that, I don't know, it was scary for me to think that, dang, somebody feels like that way about me. and
Right.
and for these people that are providing this cloak for me, they're looking at me, and they have these expectations from me, and it's all because they can see things in you, and see things in you that, or in me, that they're proud of. And I refused it, because we talked about it before, about how, I've built myself into this person now, but but at the time I could not see all of that. And it's like when it's amazing to display certain things that people can pick up on, and you're blind to it yourself. And
Exactly.
apparently, I've been displaying these traits that instill trust, in my mom, or trust in my family members, or trust in my friends. And I didn't recognize it. So, like I said, I refused the baton. But it's all of it is organic. All of it is happening. All of it is dynamic. It's gonna move forward. And you can refuse as long as you want to. But some people they can't take up that role. They don't have the capacity to. And some parents, I know, they are disappointed, but like, this Johnny ain't gonna do nothing. Johnny ain't shit. Johnny ain't shit,
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
they see it and they just shake their heads like, where do they go wrong? And sometimes people just, they don't have it in them, even though you can have multiples. Some of your kids ain't gonna have it in them, but you look at their one like, okay, he's going to be the one. And unfortunately, that's the one that's going to have to be like the main piece of meat. And that's why when I was doing this research, it talked about the stress of the sandwich generation. And the stress level, it varies for everybody. It varies for different family members because everybody got different makeups and everybody got different things. But imagine if your parent was like, you're like the caregiver for that parent. They're like bedbound, or they're they're not they're not able to walk and do the things that they want to do. Like, what if those strokes like left your parents with deficits that they couldn't do, like stand or walk or something like that? That adds an extra element to it. Plus, the people still have to manage their children and then manage their own lives, because you're a person, and you have to manage that person you see in the mirror. You know,
right.
you
Yeah,
have to you have to maintain your own life, which is tough in and of itself, and then added this extra element of being the meat, of the sandwich. So there are I didn't go without doing any research. There are resources out there, and this will go for you and whoever else is listening. And I'm gonna probably utilize some of these things because some of us are the meat from afar, meaning like my mom lives over in another state and I live here, but my my sister takes care of a brunt of this stuff, and I absorb whatever I can and play the best role that I can from my distance. So we have to do distance stuff, which adds a different type of worry, because you have your parents that are
yeah,
still independent to an extent, but they're away from you. And that adds that other element because you can't see what they're doing. Because if that baton is passed to you in one way, shape, or form, you still don't
exactly.
have eyes on. Is she taking her medicine? Is she doing something crazy? Is she standing on something she ain't supposed to be? Is her door locked? Did she forget that skillet on the stove? That type of stuff. That's easy when you're like 2 blocks away. Well, it's easier. That's difficult still. But imagine if you're hundreds or thousands of miles away.
Right.
Man,
Yeah,
that'll make you
2,000
bald,
miles
man.
can feel like 100,000 miles
Yep.
when you got a lot of other stuff going on. It'll change up. It changed up my whole, like, that was literally, we were on the air when I got that text that he was in the hospital. And as we're trying to wrap up the show, I'm sitting here trying to calculate my bills and like, okay, my rent. Okay, so if I got to buy a plane ticket, it's like, you
Yeah.
know, it just
Yeah.
starts. It's a whole different worry when you're 1,000 miles away. But to me, I just used it as it just strengthened me, and it was somewhat of a wake up call just to buckle down on some of the things that I want to accomplish, and just know how much more important it is to get these things done. And because the things that I place value on, that's like intensified now when you're going through seeing your parents, fall, especially as fast as my dad, declined, because he was actually a pretty fit old man. Like, he was riding his bike and, going up and down the steps and, talking to all the old people around the building and stuff like that. And he declined really quick. And that was one of the things that why he was so depressed. So as he's declining fast, we have to react fast as children,
Yeah.
And shout out to my sister. She's a nurse out in Long Beach, and she's kind of bearing the brunt, just like your sister. She's on the scene, kind of bearing the brunt of
Yeah.
everything.
Amazing women, man. Amazing women. And to give them
Yeah,
shout
it
out.
takes a
Yeah.
lot. Absolutely.
Yeah. And, I'm in no way, shape, or form acting like I'm anybody's savior because there's a lot of things that I still go through because I'm the meat and I'm a fresh piece of meat, but I feel like I've been spoiled, if that makes any sense. And that's just all due to perception because I want to do more and I want to be more, but I have to use my presence, my talent, my intellect, and everything that I have now that's available to me to position myself to absorb more and do more and get that ability to be there. So yeah, my mom listens to these things. So shout out to you, mama. I love you. But just sharing some of my inner thoughts with that, which kind of segues into what we talk about how we can help the sandwich generation get through their issues, because you're only human, ladies and gentlemen. You're only human, and you're gonna feel the pressure and the pain of the ups and the downs of just trying to be the pillar of strength for your children and your parents. But one of mine is just, if you got multiples, if you're blessed with multiple siblings, not all of them are going to be down and dirty. There are going to be some that, at this, whether you millennials or you Gen Xers, and just somebody's can just do whatever small thing can help you guys help each other out and support each other, because that really matters. Because the family is one of the most important communities you can have, and whether it's adopted or blood or whatever, you need to kind of circle your wagons and ask for help. You got to say something, because that old school approach to I'm just going to deal with it, I'm just going to deal with it, you're going to fracture. And who knows how long it's going to take you to repair yourself, or if you get to a point of no return. But
Right.
according to, got this resource here, care.com. According to care.com, here's how we can help the sandwich generation with their seemingly never ending stressors. So, one is take the time to recharge. One of those self care things we were talking about, Jib. You can't go, 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 and not recharge your batteries. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. If you can't invite anybody else. You can't help anybody else if your cup is empty.
There you go. The next one, it says save time while updating family. That means save time while updating family. Okay. Next one is share the load with your family, kind of what we were just talking about. If like you got siblings or, adopted family. And I mean by not just, people adopted legally into your family, guys. I mean friends that are close to you that have known you for a while, like, me and Jib. I consider him, a part of my family or part of my extended family, or whatever you want to talk about. You can, if you have somebody that close to you that knows your parents that way, or if you got other siblings, if you're in that position, share the load with your family. And the next one, it says hire help, and a lot of people get the home healthcare nurses.
Right.
And I don't know if your folks will benefit from that or not. Maybe so. Maybe you'll give mom a little bit of a break or your sister a break, but that could be considered if the price is right for your budget. Because
Hmm.
a lot of people are tight these days, man. Let me tell you.
Right. For
It's just
sure.
the next one. I didn't mean to cut you off there, brother. Sorry about that. The next one, it says talk to your employer. So I think that there are certain programs that people offer at their jobs to support, especially locally, because these are just like general type of things that can kind of give you an idea to support you and your family in your area. So you can have an idea to kind of look around locally off of some of the things that we're saying here from care.com. All right. And the next one is let go of the desire to achieve a perfect balance. Hmm. Makes
Okay.
sense. Makes sense, right?
Depends on what you mean, what they mean by perfect balance.
I don't think, well, you know me, I don't believe in perfection. So I think that some people probably have these things, whether it's an algorithm or whether it's a flow or flow chart or something made up in their minds or written down on paper on how it's supposed to go. You know, that whole well-oiled machine thing. And maybe if they let that go and just let life flow the way it's going to flow, it'll probably be, you know, less of a stress on them trying to guide the ship toward that perfect angle, that perfect line. So, and just kind of let it free flow. That's what I get out of that one. The next one is determine your non-negotiable needs. Okay. And then 8, it touches back on lean on support. So accept help, basically. You get help, whatever form it comes in, just, you know, accept it,
Right.
roll with it. Don't be too good to take the help.
Hmm.
Makes a lot of sense. So that's just coming from care.com. But then there are other resources that I found. Then these are more, again, like a general or overview, like national stuff. And you can find things locally for yourself to help yourself out. So, according to meetcaregivers.com, this is resources for the sandwich generation caregivers. Sometimes people, like I said, you know, they're caring. Not only are they like kind of having their parents live with them or be around them all the time, they're delivering care, like in a healthcare. Their home is a healthcare setting as well. AARP family caregiving. You can look. Well, AARP is a good resource for our older generation as is. So I would look into that just in general, and maybe sign your parents up for AARP too, so you can find that at their website. The National Alliance for Caregiving is a resource. National Alliance on Mental Illness. Hell, that may be a resource for the people that's to meet. Get stressed out. You're like, give me that one. All right. The Caregiver Action Network. So you can look up the Caregiver Action Network and see what kind of tips and resources that they have there for you. They have a community resource finder. Again, that's something that you guys could just look up and find something more close to home. Okay. National Institute on Aging. So that can give you some information on what to expect when, you know, you have to deal with an aging part of your family. And, you know, that'll probably help give you a little bit more patience, give you a little bit more understanding. A lot of times patients come with understanding. You know, if you don't understand what's going on, you're going to be all antsy and on edge. But with understanding comes patience. So, or vice versa, I should say, with patience comes understanding. Whatever, you know
Right.
what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I got you.
All right. And lastly, it's the elder care locator. So, yeah, there are different resources out there. You guys, I know you guys sometimes feel lost and buried. You know, that doesn't have to be the case.
Right.
You know, and you know, you're not even my family. You're not in my family, but I thank you guys for bearing that weight. Again, you know, shout out to my fam and the weight that's bearing, and I'm just hoping that the best that I can give makes an impact and helps to an extent. And I'm looking to play a bigger role in that and be in a better role, and because it's almost like you have to have an internal switch to where you go back and forth between the two. You know, you still hold your parents in high esteem. You maintain that level of respect, but then you have to switch back and make sure that you're being available for them. You're you can talk to them. They have a person that they can rely on and talk to, and you have to take that role. They need an ear, and you touched on something and before we were talking about giving the parents something that they didn't have maybe growing up and stuff. And I remember that jarred my memory. And it's like sometimes they need a person to help them feel like they're doing the right things, help them feel like they're making the right decisions, help them, maybe just find their new path because they've been down many roads in their lifetime. And
Right.
all they want maybe is just not to just die. Maybe they just want to do something new. They're looking for a spark. They're looking for something and they look to you. So that should let you know instead of like, oh God, why dad? Oh God, why are you talking to me about this? Think about how he sees you. Think about, hey, this old man from this different generation is looking at me and looking at me for answers. He's looking at me for guidance. You should hold your head up high and be proud that that dude is coming towards you, or your mom is coming towards you to ask you these things, to talk to you these things. That means they hold you in high esteem. They are proud of you. They love you and they want you to be happy with them.
Right. Correct.
When they do something, they accomplish something, tell them that you're proud of them. Tell them
Right.
that you're proud of them. Because for all you know, their parents are older school than you. I mean, then their parents are more old school than them. They
Right.
probably didn't even hug them and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Pretty much. Yeah.
They probably, boy, get on out there, clean up, bye. If they got that much. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So we have to think that nobody nurtured that little kid in them. And if they didn't know how to
A lot of
nurture,
times. Yeah.
yeah, say it again, brother. I'm sorry.
I said a lot of times. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got to think about that. And then if they softened up enough to come to you out of whatever, however many siblings you got, that means something. That's something special. So just putting a little bit on your minds when you feel like, why is this happening to me? Or I feel overwhelmed and this and this. It's time for us to adjust. It's time for us to adjust the way we relate to our parents. You still respect and revere them and do everything like that, but they need, even if it's not a physical caregiver, they need somebody that they want to answer to or tell them that they're proud of them or, feel happy with and tell them like the new thing down they learned down at the community center. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna tell Josh this. Yeah, Josh, listen, shit. Go take them fishing, or do something, hang out with them. Or get the kids and him together, or get the kids and mom together and just, do some stuff, tell stories. Just it's an easier way. And the resources we gave you guys is not the only thing that you guys can rely on, a family and all these other things, but your family is unique. You will find the dynamic, you will understand it, and you guys will do fine. You guys will do fine. And I'm talking to myself as at the same time.
Right. Yeah. We're both actively going through this somewhat at right now. So I'm actually glad you chose this topic. It did kind of hit a lot closer to home than I expected it to. I was a little nervous doing this show already because I was like, man, I'm gonna have to like dig deep to say some things and maybe have to reveal some personal things that but this is a lot. Like I said, that's the whole point of us doing this whole podcast. So it's a journey through life, and if we're going to share our life and be transparent about things to help other people, then we have to be willing to be courageous enough to put ourselves out there. And I just like to just one bit of advice for people who are going through something like this currently, or if you go through it in the future, just always remember your parents once they start to decline. Just always remember the good that they tried to instill in you, and be a reflection of that, because we can be bitter about what they didn't do or what they should have done, and a lot of times they weren't able to, like we were saying earlier, get the things that we that they were able to provide in their own way for us. A lot of our parents were almost children when they start having children. So we have to take all that in consideration, and don't be hard on your parents. Don't be so hard on your parents. Just try to be that reflection of the good that they
instilled in you. Because if they were good parents, some parents are bad. Like some parents you might not even want to help take care of when they get older. I mean, but if you did have some parents who put their best foot forward, even though you might not have understood some of the things they were doing when they did it, and now that you're older and you understand, you should always try to hold on to that and let that be a reflection as they start to decline, because they're going to need that strength. And I can see that same reflection from my daughters now, as being able to, like, there's things that I don't even remember telling them that they'll come back and tell me, and it was just in some casual conversation or just something that I was doing and not paying attention to. Those impressions are always there. So that's, I guess I could just, that part with that and let people, that'll be my advice as someone who's actually going through this right now.
That's sound advice, brother. That's good. And as always, I appreciate your contributions because you always make me think, and I like to sit and listen, and it always takes me someplace. And I know that there's always a part of me that's going to try to be a better father to my kids, but there's a part of me want to be a better son to my mom. Sometimes I lose patience, and I need to, everything I say here, I'm preaching to the choir because I'm not perfect. And I said it before in, previous episodes that we're not beyond reproach, and we're all here to grow. I'm not quote unquote the man. I don't think I'm the man. And there are things I need to correct and I need to work on. And I can be a son, and I can also be that person that kind of nudges, kind of put something in my mom's ear, let her know, what I think and what I feel or whatever. So as we speak, we're still making adjustments, and we're all going to get there, guys. We are all going to get there. And just because you feel challenged and feel overwhelmed, that's the human part of you telling you to kind of go and recharge, telling you kind of accept that help that you need to get, telling you to kind of sit back and freaking breathe and just breathe through it, because nothing is that serious to where it needs to just get you thrown out of whack. And if there's no you, then there's nobody else. That's
Right.
all I can, but you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's all I can say. If there's no you, then there can be nobody else. Parents, children, whatever. And if you're that pillar, you got to, find a way to recharge, and then set the pieces of bread up with each other. If your parents are still kind of able-bodied and your kids are old enough, the meat can step out and the two pieces of bread can come together. The outer edges can come together for a second.
Right.
I can take my boys over to my mom's house and leave them there, and that's fine. Guess what? I'm out of the equation. Guess what? Me and my wife going out on a date. Or, you know what I'm saying? So it's like we get blinded when we're in the fog. Again, we're in the fog. I always say this. We're in the fog. It's hard for us to see our options. It's hard for us to know where we are. It's hard for us to know where our feet are. So you find a way to make your situation work for you. Hell, me and Jib doing that right now, just with this.
Yeah.
Just with this. So, and again, nobody's gurus or experts. We're just reaching out for people that are like us that need to hear this kind of stuff. So that being said, I'm good. I just want you guys to keep going and keep growing.
Keep going and keep growing.
That's right. So, all right, Jib, you got anything else for you? I'm going to get ready to wrap this bad boy up. This is a fantastic little session here. I enjoyed it. And I like feeling like I've learned something. I like the feeling in my brain and my body when I feel like I've learned something, or I've grown something, or I'm doing something that's very positive. And I feel that way now, honestly. So, thank you. Thank everybody else. Thank folks for listening.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night, and make sure you just take care of yourself.
No doubt. All right, guys, this has been another episode of The Gifted and Insane with me, Marzette, and my co-host, Jabri. You guys tune in for the next episode. We will be back soon. All right, you guys. Peace.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Gifted and Insane featuring Marzette and Jabri. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening. You guys have a great day. Peace.